What's going on YouTube? Standing Man, aka 12 Gauge 365, and I'm back at y'all with another quick one. So UFC 325 just wrapped up. This is the second week of us getting straight back to back UFC main events. So I think with this new Paramount Plus deal, we have been getting blessed with back to back fights. I think it's been a while since we had back to back main events like this, but either way, man, it was definitely a dope event. Australian event, so it was we saw a lot of showcased Australian fighters. So, it was definitely an event to watch. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. So definitely kicking off the main event. We have we have I might butcher his name, but we have Quillian Salkild. He gets the second round submission win over Jamie Malarkey. And then we have Talison Teixeira getting the decision win over Taito Ivasa in the heavyweight division. So that was definitely a dope fight to watch. Taito Ivasa definitely tried to come back and rally behind the crowd and, get the TKO win, maybe get the TKO win late in the fight, but that just didn't happen. Talison Teixeira, both guys was kind of tired. It was definitely a back and forth fight. Well, Talison Sierra was pretty much dominating the fight, dominating all the exchanges, all of the grappling scrambles and stuff. And Taito Ivasa ended up hurting him in the last round and trying to rally back. And you see the crowd wanting to get behind him and getting the win, but it just didn't happen. But, Taito Ivasa is definitely a fan favorite fight. So we'll probably definitely see him get another fight in the UFC, even though this makes his fifth straight loss. I definitely think we'll see him again. So we'll just have to stay tuned to see how that goes with him. And so now we're moving on. So Mauricio Rufy gets an impressive second round TKO victory over Rafael Fiziev. And then we have and then we have Benoit Saint Denis. I want to make sure I say his name right. Benoit Saint Denis. He comes back and follows up with another second round TKO win over Dan Hooker. Definitely an impressive win for him as well. So now we're moving on to the main event, which is Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 2. So this fight was definitely something that I wanted to watch because Alexander Volkanovski definitely comes back after losing his featherweight championship. He comes back and wins the vacant championship after Ilya moves up. He beats Diego Lopez by decision. He showed that he still can come back even at the age of 37. He showed that he can come back and get a victory, and then he comes back and defends it. So now he ties Jose Aldo for the most title defenses at 145. So he's definitely etching his name as the greatest 145 of all time. It was definitely a back and forth fight. I feel like Diego Lopez definitely tried to change the narrative and basically tried to, not necessarily give Alexander Volkanovski so much real estate as far as cage presence and cage control, but Volkanovski is definitely he has some of the best footwork I've ever seen, some of the best footwork you're ever going to see at 145. Round one was kind of back and forth. There was a few kicking exchanges, but Volkanovski took the center of the cage and pretty much backed up Diego Lopez, and that's pretty much how round one ended. It wasn't really an eventful first round, but Alexander Volkanovski did enough to get the victory and to get the round one in his favor. So it was a 10-9 round for Volkanovski in round one. Round two, like I said, Diego Lopez definitely tried to take the center of the octagon and change the narrative and definitely not make the same mistakes that he did in the first fight. But Volkanovski, like I said, he's a champion for a reason. There was a few kicking exchanges in round two, a few scrambles in round two, and Diego Lopez kind of got the best of the kicking exchanges in round two, and Alexander Volkanovski made a very, very big mistake, in my opinion, in round two, and this is what lost him the round, in my opinion. He tries to go for a guillotine, and he pretty much almost dang near pulls guard for the guillotine, trying to get the finish, and that ends up, he did that with 30 seconds left in the round, so that ends up with Diego Lopez being on top, breaking out of the guillotine attempt, being on top, being able to get some kind of domination from the top position, and that's what kind of wins him the round, in my opinion. So round two goes to Diego Lopez. So now it's 1-1. It's a 10-9 round for Diego Lopez. So now they're split even, 1-1 for round one and round two. Round three comes out, then we start to see these guys open up a little bit more. Both guys dropped each other. Well, Alex Volkanovski halfway dropped Diego Lopez. He catches Diego Lopez coming in with an overhand right, and Diego Lopez wobbles a little bit, but he's able to stand up. And so Alex Volkanovski later on in the round, a few minutes later, or a few seconds later, or something like that, Alex Volkanovski tries to come in with some kind of weird little knee come in Superman variation kind of punch, and Diego Lopez kind of throws a short clipping right hook that drops Alexander Volkanovski to his knees, so he did get dropped in that round. So it was a very back and forth round. Both guys landed, both guys opened up, but you can still see that Volkanovski is really making the best of his cage presence, man. He's getting out of the way of certain shots. He's not getting hit with certain shots that'll drop a lot of people, because Diego Lopez is he's more of a bulldog kind of when he fights, so he wants to bomb rush you. But Alexander Volkanovski, pretty much through the rest of the fight, rounds 4 and 5, he's able to stay away from the very big shots from Diego Lopez, and he's able to pretty much just kind of pick his shots, do the same stuff that he was doing against Max Holloway, kind of getting in, darting out. I feel like with him being 5'6", he's kind of short for the division, because we've seen an influx of guys, especially guys like Conor McGregor prototype or archetype type of guys, the guys that are coming in that are 5'8", 5'9", kind of on the taller side of 145. But I feel like with Alexander Volkanovski, with him being as short as he is, it's a lot harder to hit guys like him, because he's always, his footwork is just immaculate. It's always on point. He's always in position to hit and not get hit. So I feel like if it wasn't for Ilya, I feel like if it wasn't for him moving up to 155, he doesn't lose to anybody at 145. Obviously, he goes and fights Islam Makhachev twice, and he ends up getting knocked out in the second round, in the second fight, and that's what kind of spirals him into losing that fight against Ilya Topuria. But he did find his way back up to the mountaintop, and I really think he has to be considered as the greatest 145 of all time, because after Jose Aldo lost the devastating KO, lost to Conor McGregor, we never really see him climb back up to the mountaintop. We see him drop down to 135, and he gets a little success at 135, but we don't really see him return to that championship status like we see Volkanovski did. So I really think Volkanovski should be etched as one of the greatest 145ers. I mean, honestly, if he gets a few more title defenses, you probably have to put him over Jose Aldo in that aspect. But y'all have to let me know how y'all feel about that in the comments. Alexander Volkanovski, again, he fights a great fight. He fights a phenomenal fight. He fought the kind of fight that you would expect somebody who's 37 years old, who may be coming close to the end of his career, who may not have that many fights left, but he fights a very great fight. He's not the bomb rush and land knockout shots that we saw earlier in his career, but he's old enough and he's seasoned and he's a lot more skilled than we've seen him before. And man, his body of work speaks for himself. He fought a very great fight against Diego Lopez. I really don't feel like one of the judges, I feel like one of the judges had it wrong by giving it a 50-45 decision. I don't think Alexander Volkanovski took all of the rounds. I feel like Diego Lopez was pretty much there for every round and every second of the fight. Like I said, I just feel like Volkanovski was able to get those little moments and, prove himself to be a champion. And that's why he ends up getting the win in this fight. So we'll have to see who he fights next. And that's the thing that I like about Volkanovski so much, because he gets this win. There's a lot of guys that he still can beat. So I feel like he can hold on to the championship for a while. I feel like Mavsar, he might be somebody that may be a threat to the championship, and maybe Aljamain Sterling. He's at 145 now. I don't really see him bringing any kind of striking exchanges that'll be something that Volkanovski won't be ready for. I do think he has a strength advantage and maybe a wrestling advantage against Volkanovski, so maybe that's a fight that they make soon. But honestly, I think Volkanovski, the world is his oyster right now. I think he can beat pretty much anybody that's next up for the 145 belt. So we'll just have to see who they put in front of him next. Stay safe, stay blessed as always. We will see y'all on the next breakdown. Hopefully we'll get this Secure Stevenson fight in, and we'll review that next, but we'll see y'all on the next breakdown.